Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So we are going to continue the Fysetc Venture XL build. Last video we had built the gantry. I had put everything tentatively in here. Okay, I took the gantry, I put it on. It is just mounted tentatively per recommendation. I had set all these up. Okay, these little blocks. There's a screw with a spring in here, and then there's a bearing with a little CNC washer on the top. That's what screws into that third hole on these red plates, okay, that you saw. Then I put this in here. I made sure that it was square. This moves very free. I mean, I could almost take a piece of paper and move that, okay? There was very minor adjusting that I had to do. What I did from there is I did not know how far to put these end pieces on the X gantry. I didn't know how far to put them on the extrusion, okay? And I didn't know how far the extrusions went on the AB motors. So that's why when I put it up here, I put these screws in that go into there. After loosening those, I got everything where it needed to go, including this. Then what I did was I centered the extrusion, for instance, in between the AB motors. I centered the extrusion between those two. Then I snugged them down. Same thing with the X axis. After allowing me to screw these in, because there's 4 M3x6 button head cap screws that go in here. After putting those in with the extrusion loose, I centered the extrusion in between them two, and then I snugged them down. So now everything is free moving, everything is free flowing, and the center distance between everything is all matched up. Okay, so that's where we're at now. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to pull the gantry out, and I am going to then lock everything down and tighten down these T-nuts on the extrusions, and it calls for me to put the belts on. Okay, so we are going to be picking up right here. Here, I'll switch to the other cam, which is a little bit more friendly for the iPad. So we were right here. Then we have X-axis installation, to where it talks about those M3x6, and those are socket head cap screws, not button head. My mistake. Now we are going to take that off. We are going to start, after we take that off, we're going to start 2.3.7, the XY belts, and running all those belts and putting those on. Okay, and then after that we'll put the IDM bracket installation and install that. So let's go ahead and take this down. And all these parts you will find in that same box. Okay, this is with the hardware. These little 4 springs, it's in that same box that has those GE5C bearings, those fisheye bearings. It has those in it. And then these little CNC washers, there's 4 black washers that are in that bag. That's also in that box with that. Okay. As you can see, that yellow strap is just supporting the extrusion, And these are just resting on the little rubber pieces that are in there, because that has most of the weight on it with the motors. So that's where I have that supporting the motors with that side of the extrusion, and this is just resting on those little rubber pieces that go on the rail, okay? So now this is resting on those rubber pieces that I had talked about that go into the rail that are just holding that slide in place. So I'm just going to push those in to make sure that it's not going anywhere. I know some folks have used zip ties and other things of that nature, but I just decided the rubber grommet, so to speak, is well enough to hold it, and it's been doing a good job thus far, so I just left it on there like that. Just bear with me, I'm getting this set up on this table so you can better see what I'm doing. So and when we do the belts, we don't have any problems. Sorry for the noise if you are wearing headphones. All right, I think that's a good view. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and search for the belts. I believe it's in that same little box. It says the GT2 idlers and all that stuff is in that box. So I'm going to go right over here, grab those belts, and then I'll be right back. So as you can see here, this box, if you look, it does have the belts on here. There's two belts. There's one for the Z and one for the XY. Or there's two of the XYs and 4 for the Z's. The 4 for the Z's will go on the unit. Those motors that we mounted to the top, those will go in there, and then they will lock to these. Then the XY is what we're looking for, the 2 that are going to run through this, okay? And they are both packaged together. I hope they labeled which ones are for which, or if they're just all the same size. So here's 4, so this might be, they might be packaged individually. Yep, they are packaged individually. So here's the 2 for the XY, and here are the 4 for the Z. So that's nice. That's one less question mark. We got to figure out which ones are there. I'm guessing that these would be longer anyways. As you can kind of see how big the roll is here. The other ones are a little bit smaller. And we are following the wiki, as I had said before in the previous videos. Okay. Okay, so now the one thing it doesn't show that I feel like is kind of important is what side of the belt you use. There's a corrugated side with these little ribs, and then there's a flat side. It doesn't say that. Maybe that's something, since again I am new to building printers, maybe that's just something that you know what it is. But I think it would be nice if they did show you which way the belt is and with like how it's ran through there. So we'll go ahead and start this. Obviously the one you'll find out right away because it needs to go over the motor with the corrugated part at a certain point, but you won't know that until you get to the motor side. So So this, the top one, just runs around and around here. And the top one connects to that because, yeah, that one's routed on the top. Okay, so it goes like this. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab those little needle nose pliers that they gave me, those tweezers, and that might help grab it from where I need to grab it. And this one actually might be flipped over the other way. Because of the way that it goes around. So yeah, this one goes like this, I believe. Because then it goes in here. Okay. So it's through there, then we gotta feed it back through here. And you know what, guys? What I'm actually noticing is this AB motor here, the pulley is put on the wrong side. Because both pulleys are on the top, this pulley needs to be on the bottom. Yep, this pulley needs to be on the bottom. So I need to loosen the motor on this one, remove the motor so I can access that piece there, and then turn that upside down with that bearing, because that bearing needs to be on the bottom. Yep, this one's on the top, but the other one, this one's on the bottom. So I need to pull this, I need to remove this motor so I can flip that. So I'm gonna grab a wrench and the Loctite. Even when I thought I had everything double crossed, double checked, I missed it by that much. The other wrench. And that's definitely one of the things, you know, with the documentation. If it was, I'm not blaming the documentation because maybe it was an oversight on my end. But if it had a step-by-step guide of, okay, put this bearing in, okay, put this here, and then put this here, and then put it all together, it definitely would help. It's not going to hurt, but again, my first printer build, a little bit of oversight like flipping this is peanuts compared to the big picture. Okay, so now the motor is loose. So yeah, so this bearing stack was like this. I need it like this. Okay. So just cleaning up some of this blue Loctite a little bit, because it was Loctited previously. Now we just removed it. Okay, now this one. Okay, so now that bearing stack is correct and is the right way as it should be. So now we can go ahead and put the motor back on. And this was this way. And one more time just before we put this on, because we'll never see it again. Just double check that these are tight. And yeah, this goes down this way. So yeah, this one. And again, we'll just put it in snug until we get all of them in. And cross torque, I tightened up the one across from this one a little bit, and then I did the cross from it. Now I'm doing the one to the right of it. Okay, so now those are all tight again. Our electrical is going the right way. So now we can continue with the belts. Okay, so this one's good, which actually I'm gonna pull a little bit of this out, and we'll line it up with the middle of it. It's kind of in the middle now, so I'll just put it to roughly the middle, so then that should give us plenty of room. Okay, so now this is going to go this way. Gonna go right past this one. And it'll go this way, back around that one. Okay, and then back through this one. There is a tiny, like a hair of tolerance between that belt and the side of this portion here. The tiniest hair, and it's not even the extrusion that's right next to it. It's actually the milled piece. There's like no margin for error that thing is. I mean, maybe once we tighten it up and get it tight, it'll change and it'll bring it in a little bit. But yeah, it's kind of interesting how close that is. So I'll put those two off to the side, so that seems good. And we'll get the other one. Okay, so this one, this bottom one goes all the way back. Goes all the way back to this one. Again, very little margin of error on the other side of this one. Very, very little. Okay, so that one goes around there, and then it just goes around this one. And then when it gets to this one, it goes around here and then right here. Okay, so now we have all of them pretty much matched up. Right in the middle. Okay. So let's just do a sanity check. This one goes around here, goes up this way, goes around, goes this way, then is connected to this motor, goes around the motor, goes over here, back up this way, and then goes down to that idler. That tensioner comes back this way, and then goes off this bearing, and then goes back to here. Okay, now the bottom one. The bottom one goes here, here, over to here, around this motor, then goes this way, goes to the outside, and then goes to the outside, and then goes down to here, and back to here. Perfect. All right, so we're in good shape here. So we got the belts on the way that they're supposed to go. Now it shows us we're going to get the IDM bracket installation, so I'm going to be grabbing that. M3x6 button head cap screws to tighten the belts. Use M3x8 flathead to fix the IDM scanner to the guide rail. Okay. So M3x6 button head cap screws. M3x8 flathead cap screws. And this little mount that's going to hold the tool head. And if you look, something really small. I like that there's a little cross in the middle. I'm guessing that's for wires and stuff, but that's kind of cool. God bless. God bless this printer if I put it together wrong. Okay. So this goes like this. These four extensions that you can see on there that stick up, those go towards you. And flat. So use the flat M3x8 flathead cap screw to fix the IDM scanner CNC metal parts on the guide rail slide. And the M3x6. So actually the M3x6 button heads you don't even need because there's already two of them in here. So we'll go like this. Then go like this. And you know what? Actually, I just wanted to see how the belts were gonna go on. What I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm gonna do. What I'm gonna do for you. I'm gonna give you the count to 10 to get your ugly keister off my property. I'm surprised that these aren't button heads because these aren't milled on the 45 to accept the flat head. So I'm kind of surprised that they don't use button heads, but maybe there's a reason. And I'm going to tentatively place this without Loctite for now. I will probably put Loctite on this just because it's going to be moving a lot. It's also going to be near the heat source, so there's going to be quite a bit going on with it, but I'm just going to put these tentatively. Okay, so that's on. It also wants me, while I'm doing this, to install the X1 micro switch. So I will grab that plastic piece. Did. I think I printed it in gray, like the green. There it is. It's in green. Yeah, this one. Yeah, this is it. Okay, so this to one side here so I can put this on. So this is going to, let's get M2 by 10 flathead cap screw. Oh, the M2 by 10 is for the switch, to actually mount the switch to this. Okay, so yeah, the M by 2 is to mount that switch to this. And so let's see, it looks, maybe it goes like this. Or does it go like this? Okay, so it goes like this. Oh, okay, that's pre-threaded. So it'll go like this. And then that'll go there. Okay, well, let's grab our sensors. They might be in this. No, they're in the. I think they're in the other box. And then there's a box with just electrical. Yeah, they're in the other box with the same one that had the electrical cords and all that for the LED. And it has all the fans and all that stuff in here. You can kind of see there's a bunch of good stuff. Here are the switches. Little bag, there's looks like 3 switches in there. And we need M2 by 10 flathead cap screws. And you know what? So there isn't. There is no M210 flathead cap screw, but there is M210 self-tapping screw that you'll see. I'm guessing because it's going into the printed part, that's why it would be self-tapping. And it's actually a Phillips head, which is why they give you, I was wondering why they gave you a micro Phillips head. And that would be why. I think this is the one that has those. If not, I do have one in the other room that is a micro, because it is very small. Extremely small. And of course, this is not the box with the tools. So let me go grab that small Phillips head. Here's the little bag with the tools that they provided. So I'll use that. So this goes like this, and then these must be like the same, just you orientate them differently. So yeah, there's 2 of these that are really small, and then it has a little connector on it. And there's a little bit bigger one. There's a little bit, oh, actually, so there's a little bit bigger one. There's only one of those that are single like that. And then there's this one, which has a little red, I don't know if you can see that little, yeah, you can see that little red dauber there. So, kind of interesting. I wonder which one's which. Very interesting. I wonder if this is for both of these. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. because these are both connected to the same thing. I'm gonna check the GitHub and see if it mentions anything like this. And the wiring diagram. So this seems to be like the XY. Oh, you know what? This is the material brake sensor. The run out sensor, that's what this has to be. Or one of them is. Again, it would kind of be nice if they labeled this stuff, like what it was in the bag. Like maybe have this in its own bag and say material brake and end stop, whatever it is. It doesn't say that. But I would guess the one with the little button, because it's rounded, you know, it would allow filament to pass through it, maybe? I don't know, but that would be my guess. Well, we'll mount it up and then we'll figure it out. So now runs the question of which cord is long enough. I think I'm gonna, this one's a little bit longer than this one. This one's like real short. So, and like I said, it would have been nice if they would have put how they intended this to go, because you know there's a very big difference between this is almost double the length than this one. So this one I would think is closer to the tool head, with it being mounted right here, and then it can just go up maybe. But it doesn't really make sense either way. But if we have to take it apart, we'll take it apart in the future, I guess. So let's see. It doesn't even show you the chords in the blown up diagram. Or maybe this one. Maybe this is for the filament run out, because it's so small. And then this, no, because the mounting holes wouldn't even match up. The mounting holes don't match up. Yeah, the mounting holes don't even match up on this. So it matches these two. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this one, I'm gonna put the real small one, I'm gonna put it mounted right here because it seems like it would be right next to the tool head. I'm gonna put it on that one there, kind of hard to see. But the one that's mounted to the IBM bracket, not the plastic printed part, I'm gonna put this little one, okay? and this is tapped. So this one has to be the regular M2 by 10s. And after this, I'm gonna go watch a couple videos of the other guys that did it, Canuck Creator and Modbot Army, and see if it shows what sensors they had on where. You know, it'll be easy to kind of change those after the fact. So I will be going and watching their videos. And I really should give them a shout out because I appreciate them. I wouldn't have the confidence to build this printer if it wasn't for at least Canuck Creator. Modbot Army's still going along with it, but Canuck, thank you for you putting it together, and I appreciate that. So Fysetc, if you hear this, much appreciated that you know, gave him one of the printers to put together, because that's what gave me the confidence to be able to buy this printer and put it together myself as a first printer build. I haven't gotten it up yet, so we'll see if I still have the same tune once I get it up, but I'm pretty confident with it. I should be able to figure this out. Okay, so that's set up. Now what do we mount that with? That looks to be like these as well. Are those M2 threads? Oh, M3 by 8s. Okay. It didn't look close. M3 by 8. Flat head. And it looks like a socket head, so I'm surprised that they don't use a socket head, because again, it's not tapered. So why would you use a tapered screw on a non-tapered part? And that's really easy to fix. Just take the part and taper it. Okay. Okay, so now we'll put this on for the belts. And what I'm going to do too is I'm going to send this screw, I'm going to send this kind of all the way in. Because the belts are going to need to be tensioned, so then I'll tighten them. I'll tighten them around this bracket. And then when I go ahead and tighten them, you know, it won't be as far. And then as they stretch, you know, I'll probably have to tighten that a little bit more. Okay. Exactly why I didn't Loctite these to begin with. You gotta take it out, and the belt goes behind it. So definitely happy I did not tighten these yet. But that's okay, easy fix. So yeah, I should have just taken this off to begin with. Jeez. So there it is. There's the bracket, there's the switch right up here on the back. And then here's the switch on this side. This has the M2 by 10s right here, and M2 by 10s self tappers that go into the plastic. Okay, so before I lock these belts down, I'm going to be having family over later. I'm going to have, one person on each side kind of holding the belts kind of taut. And then when I pull this in and lock these in, it'll definitely help me out. So that is all set. They are tentatively on here. They are a little bit tight, but not. The bottom one is definitely a little bit more than the top one, but I will save that for when they get here. I'm going to go ahead and now put this in the unit, and then we'll go ahead and lock it down with those screws and get that all set. Then later today, I will be going and getting a Scotch-Brite pad to be able to do the beds, which I believe is the next step that we do with this. Is after we get this mounted up there, it has us do the beds. Okay, so let's go ahead and move this. Oh, let's clean these up. There's a couple screws here. For now, I'll put these screws in, but later I will be taking them out so I can tension this. Because when you mount this, it actually locks the belt in. So I'm just lightly putting these screws on, just as I did before. Okay. So let's see, I think I need this big one for those. So I will move everything over. We'll go ahead and do one of these and spin this. Again, sorry if you're wearing headphones and I'm making all kinds of noise. Let's check the cam. Let's get it all set up. Because right now you can't see it as good. Let's see, it's a little crooked. Okay. There we go. All right. Make sure all our little stoppers are in. And these ones are a little stiff. Those ones are a little better, but these ones are a little stiff. Not that it matters, because it's just a tiny bit stiff. It's not by much, but coming in for a landing. All right. So now we'll grab our screws. It's starting to look like a printer. so that one's tight. And you know what? Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that strap on there and support that, and then I'm going to double hit these because I have not tightened all of these yet. So I want to be able to get to the ones at the bottom. So I'm going to support that side. Okay. So now that's supported. Grab the other wrenches here. A little bit smaller than that one. Okay, so those are pretty tight. Okay, so that one's good. That one's tight. Yeah, I must have tightened these already. But sanity checks can never hurt. They can never hurt. Yeah, I must have already tightened these ones already. Let's go to the other side. They're turning just a little bit, not by much. These two were definitely loose. Okay, so now for the bottoms. Those are good. Okay, those are good. Okay, so now we can put those screws back in. And I'm just going to put these just flush with that bottom part. Okay. Now these two. All right. So those are on there. On this side, we lost a little rubber ground. Okay. Now we'll double check that other side because there's not support in that. All right, guys, so there we have it. We just put the gantry in here. The belts are on. Again, I am going to be tightening the belts a little bit once I have somebody here to kind of help me push those and make sure that that outer backside of the gantry is tight with the belts, and they can kind of keep tension, and then I can pull them tight this way and then lock them in and lock down this little IDM here that holds the tool head. Okay. I also, off camera, I will be tightening all of these. I will be Loctiting those just because they go into that, and with it moving and it's constantly a moving part, I don't want it coming free. So I will take those screws out, Loctite those, and do that process, which I will do off camera before the next video. The next video, I plan on starting the bed assemblies and getting those. I have to stop and get a Scotch-Brite pad today. I don't have one. So I can rough up that surface, clean it up. I have alcohol spray already. So that's the only thing I need to do the beds. That will be the next video, as I said. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned as we continue our journey on building the venture. Take care. Bye-bye.